Welcome back to the Ordinary Mom podcast. And in true mom fashion, I actually have a sleeping child right behind me who will hopefully stay asleep, and another child sleeping in the room next door, and another one coming home from her school in a minute. So I want to talk to you guys, though, in this brief moment that I have about the Charlie Kirk effect. And what I mean by that is this movement that has been emboldened amongst Christians to speak out about who Charlie Kirk was and what the message was that he truly stood for. Because beyond politics, we can see that Charlie Kirk was an evangelist to some extent. He always tried to bring Jesus into the conversation. And really all of the values that he sought to portray, even in politics, were ones that were biblical and were underpinning a biblical worldview. So I want to speak to this movement, which I'm calling the Charlie Kirk effect, of Christians being more and more bold to talk out on their social media or to their friends and their family about what they believe in. And I think this is a really, really amazing and positive thing. I feel like God is really using the tragic and horrible death of Charlie Kirk in order to bring about his message and to kind of like in Acts when Stephen was killed, to amplify his message, not just here in the US, but also around the world, because people are waking up to the fact that there is evil in this world, that there are demonic forces at work, and that we as Christians need to be bold, and we don't need to be tolerant anymore. We don't need to caveat what we say, but we just need to be bold about the truths that are from the Bible, because ultimately the only source of truth really does come from the Bible. So I want to speak to that a little bit. And with that, I've seen a lot of controversies now come out about his death. Initially, we thought he caught the shooter. Initially, we thought he was this far left extremist who was married, or not married, in a relationship with somebody who's trans, and all of these narratives. And now it seems like, okay, this is not the shooter. It could be Israel, as Candace Owen seems to, tie together. There's lots of others like that out there. And while that is really interesting, and I think it's worth investigating, 100%, we need to find who did this to Charlie Kirk. But I just want to caution you guys to just not lose sight of this movement where we can proclaim Christ in a way that is bold. And I think we can get so caught up in really important details. I don't want to undermine the importance of finding out what happened to Charlie. But at the same time, I think we need to remember that Charlie would have wanted us to proclaim Christ in the aftermath of him dying as well. And Charlie's content lives on, and it'll have a massive impact. I think one of the biggest things that I've heard from people is like, oh, well, I've seen this and this person now getting into his content. And this person, like I have family in the UK, they didn't even really know Charlie Kirk. They may have heard of him. They may have seen his face. But now they're like looking into his content and they're like, whoa, he's so wise. He's so beyond his years. He is smart, he's eloquent, he is humble, and he is just preaching the gospel again and again, even on the college campuses. So let's focus on that message. And yes, of course, we can get into the details of what actually happened, but as I said, I don't think that is the thing that should take precedence right now. I think what should take precedence, at least as Christians, is to remember him for the message that he proclaimed. And, like that video that circulated, I'm going to try and maybe insert it, like the thing that he most wanted to be remembered for is his faith and his courage to speak out his faith. Here's it.
If you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
And I think we need to also think about our own legacy. Do we want God to come or to say to us, welcome home, good and faithful servant? Charlie was certainly welcomed with a well done, good and faithful servant. And so I want this movement, the Charlie Kirk effect, that I'm calling the Charlie Kirk effect, to continue. And I want you and me to be part of it. And I want us to speak out boldly. Now, speaking out boldly comes with a lot of backlash. There are people online there who are hell-bent the other way, and they want to poke holes in your arguments. They will have maybe listened to Charlie before, maybe listened to, most likely, the rhetoric about Charlie, and they will be like, well, but he's a racist and he is a misogynist and all of those things. And I just don't want you to qualify or backpedal. I just want you to stand on the truth and ultimately go beyond what Charlie said and stand on the truth of Christ. Because yes, we can admit that Charlie was flawed. Okay, he's not a perfect person. He wasn't Christ, but ultimately what his message points to is Jesus and is the gospel, and that is what is so important. And it can be hard to get attacks online, especially if we're not used to it. Okay, and I just want you to process those feelings and to be prayerful about them. Okay, to just give them to God and just to continue to be bold and seek God's wisdom. Seek God's wisdom before you post anything. Seek God's wisdom as you post anything daily. Look in his word. It says here, I'm doing actually this with a Bible study right now, but I thought it was so apt because it's Deuteronomy 4 verse 6, which talks about wisdom. And it says, keep them and do them, which is his statutes, God's statutes and rules. For that will be your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the people, or the peoples, who will say when they hear the statutes, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. And I kind of think, actually, no, they won't say that, but the people whose eyes are opened to the truth of the gospel, to the truth of who God is and who Jesus is, will see the wisdom that you're sharing. And we don't know who those people are, but the harvest is there. So start going to the field and working. So yeah, there's a lot of us who might be entering the public square in the first time. I actually started this podcast in order to be more open about my faith as it concerns cultural issues, as it concerns motherhood, parenting issues. And in many ways, I also have expected attacks, and I've kind of held back from sharing this, I guess on my Facebook, where I would have most people from differing walks of life since I was 18 in college, then working, and many countries that I've lived in. But I want to be more bold, and that is ultimately, I did put a huge post up on Facebook talking about Charlie Kirk and his death and what that means. I did get a few comments trying to undermine what I said. And that's where I'm like, okay, well, let's actually look at the facts. And some people said, oh, well, he did this and he said this and he said advocated for the death penalty for gays. And actually, when you look at that, again, it was taken out of context. So I want you guys to be bold and not to fear those people who clap back. When you really look at the majority of Charlie Kirk's content, and I'm not even saying I have done that, and the fact that he is a Christian, he isn't going to say inconsistent, random things like advocating for the death penalty for gays. So when this person made that comment on my post, I was actually like immediately like, well, that's bizarre. Like that must have been taken out of context. That is not what he would proclaim, given that he's a Bible believing Christian. And then I did some more digging, and I actually found that he talked about the Old Testament. He talked about how in the Old Testament that was a law to stone anybody in a same-sex relationship to death, and it was completely taken out of context. So case and point of people trying to take stabs at Charlie for things that were completely taken out of context. So don't let that dissuade you from your witness, because they did it to Jesus first, ultimately. And ultimately, they're not just calling Charlie all these names, they're calling Jesus those names. So I also want to say, always let your words be seasoned with salt. Don't be argumentative with other people. Be humble. Obviously, there is some weird people out there on the right who are calling out for violence, and we don't need more violence. I mean, again, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. We do not need more violence. And I am shocked, but then also not surprised, because people are people and we are so sinful, and we need to take the way of Christ, who is humble and servant-hearted, and he never argued, but he asked questions and he listened, which brings me to my next point. Listen to people, okay? Justice is in the Lord's hand. Listen to what other people have to say, okay? Listen to other people and present your side of the argument and the truth of the gospel in a way that is seasoned with salt, but not argumentative or violent, of course. I do believe that God has given us this big opportunity to speak the truth, and I feel like that he has almost like fertilized the soil, and that there's a big harvest. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. So all of us, it's incumbent on all of us to say something, okay? You might not start a YouTube channel, you might not put post after post after post, but you might just say one thing on your social media, or might start conversations with your family. Don't be silent. I'd encourage you just not to be silent about this. If this is something that touched you, and if this is something where you feel like God is working your heart to speak out finally, then this is the moment. The more voices there are, the more Christian voices there are, the more the message of the gospel can go out, and the more we can defeat evil in this world. Beyond social media, have conversations with your family that is maybe not of the same faith as you. Reach out to them. Say that you want to chat. Say that you want to listen to their side of the story, and gently present yours. And as a final encouragement, I just want to say, as it says in Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go, because God is ultimately sovereign. He's in charge. He was sovereign over the death of Charlie. He is sovereign over your life. And think about it. What do you want your legacy to be? Do you want to bring people to Christ? Because you can't bring anything with you into heaven other than the people that you have brought to Christ. And that is something that is now very much in the forefront of my mind, in my heart. Be prayerful and subscribe to this channel so that this content can go to more and more people. Like this video so the content gets pushed out to more and more Christians who may be feeling the same way as I am and maybe as you are, and who need this kind of encouragement. Also, ring the notification bell, because if you don't, you're not going to see my videos, because my channel is so small. And even though I'm going to try to grow it, you're not going to see it until it is a lot bigger, because obviously bigger accounts with more views and more followers are always going to be prioritized. So ring the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave your comment below. Let me know what you think about this. And I will be sharing more videos about current cultural events, trends from a biblical worldview. That is what this channel is all about. So if you are up for that kind of content and if you want to support me, subscribe. Thank you.